Hey guys, welcome to the project. This one is called LIANA. The main feature of this bag is all about the mitered handles and giving a little bit more look, a little bit more detail around the mitered handle. We also learn how to put the zipper on the top. Now this one I'm showing you how to do it with a bias binding, which means no matter what bag pattern you have that you might have bought from elsewhere on the web, you could use, as long as you have a straight top of your bag, you could use this technique and put a zipper on the top. Now you could go back and use this technique on all the tote bags I have shown you. This is super simple, super easy. Let's go ahead and get started with this project. All we have to do now is go and sew an edge stitch on this side. We have attached the strip at the bottom and bias binding an inch away from it. Now we need to attach the handle. To attach the handle, basically what you do, go and position your handle like so. The distance between the two handles should be about 4.5 inches or 11 centimeters. Now when you place from the edge to here, it's about 2 inches. It's important you leave this 2-inch mark, because later on you will see that we have to put a top stitch, and that shouldn't, the base of the handle shouldn't be in the way of that stitch. That's why we need to be away about 2 inches from the edge. Okay, so go and place it like so, and we can pin it. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew only the base, not the handle, just the base. So we go and sew an edge stitch, start from here, and when you go around, we're going to lift the handle, remove the pins, and sew underneath the handle so that only the base is attached. Now I'm going to remove all the pins and then lift my handle up like so, and finish attaching the handle. Okay, here we have sewn in the base, and you can see that is sitting so neatly, just like how you get in leather handbags. Now you go back and measure 4.5 inches and make sure the bases are sitting on a straight line and this is sitting straight, and go ahead and sew exactly the same way. Once you've done that, we're going to turn this over and then base your other handle, and just make sure the handles here are matching, and they are at exactly the same position, and sew the bases of the handle, and that way your handles will be all done and ready, and all we need to do is insert the lining, sew the base, and we're good to go. Okay, we have sewn the handle base on both the sides, and now we need to attach the lining to the main fabric. So let's turn this over. Before you insert the lining in, you just have to make sure that if you have a front and a back to your bag, you have to make sure the beginning of the zip is sitting to the right side if you're right-handed, or if you're left-handed, make sure that it's sitting to the left-hand side. Okay, so now that's fine with me. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put this into the main bag like so, and now we're going to match the side seam to side seam and go and pin all around. Okay, now that I have pinned it all around, this is the time you have to make sure the lining fits in perfectly inside the bag. If it doesn't, then just go ahead and either take it in a little bit or open it a little bit, whatever you need to do just to make it fit. If you have taken the right seam allowance, then it should fit perfectly. Okay, let's go ahead and sew a 1/2 inch seam. Because my fabric is fraying so much, I might have to take it a little bit more and make it 3/4 inch seam. When you come to the starting point, sew over a little extra and finish. Okay, we have just sewn in the mouth of the bag. Let's open the lining like so and turn this over. At this stage, you have to open the seams with your hand like so. Just make sure that you pull this up and then kind of bring the seam just to the edge and secure it with a pin, so we can go and sew a stitch on the top so that the lining and the main fabric will hold together. We can't really put a top stitch because you'll have to open the whole thing again and put a top stitch. So this is the best way that you can do it. So let's just go ahead and pin all around. We have pinned this all around, and now this is the stage we need to check whether our zipper is sitting properly or not. So when you close it, you just need to close the mouth of the bag like so, and that is neat. Okay? Open your zipper, and now we need to turn this over like so, and on top of the stitch we can already see at the edge of the zip, we need to go and put a stop stitch all around. So we're going to start at the end of the zipper like so, from here, and going all the way we're going to finish at the end of the zipper here. So that will be a little gap that won't be seen. Okay, so we're just going to start at the end of the zipper and then try and sew on the stitch that we have used to sew on the zipper. So we're going to stop where the bias binding ends and then start again at the beginning of the zipper, so we don't have any contrast color thread coming through the lining here. That should be more than enough. And then we finish at the end of the zipper like so. Okay, we have done the top stitch here. Now what we need to do is pull the lining so that there's no excess fabric left underneath, and just pin it all around. So hold it at the top like this and pull it at the bottom so the lining is sitting right along with the main fabric. Because the lining is softer than the main fabric, and this fabric is a curtain fabric which is quite thick, it is possible that it will wrinkle up and kind of make bulky pleats inside. So to avoid this, we're going to just hold the lining like so and just make sure you pin. And if there's anything excess, then we just trim the lining off from the bottom. Okay, so there's about probably 1/4 of an inch excess, simply because I think my fabric is frayed a lot. That's why this lining is coming excess. I'm going to trim that off in a minute. Now let's go ahead and prepare the base to finish our bag. This is the base of the bag. This is one layer of main fabric, and there's an extra piece. Now if I can sew all the layers together, then I will use this. If not, I'll have to cut another lining. So anyway, the reason I have not cut the base is because it's fraying too much, so I thought I will cut this at the end. Now what I need to do, this is a collar canvas. You could also use double-sided interfacing just to strengthen a little bit the base, so that to give the stability to the base. And I have marked a 1/2 inch seam allowance all around. So the glue side is here, the canvas side is here. So I'm just going to go and trim this seam allowance all around. Okay, I have cut the seam allowance off, so I'm going to throw that away. Now placing the glue side down to the fabric, and this should be the wrong side of the fabric. If not, then your base will have a wrong side of the fabric. So let me just put it right like so, and now go ahead and iron the canvas onto the main fabric. The canvas is ironed now and fixed to the base. So let me just go ahead and trim around. I don't need a pattern right now because I'm going to be sewing at the edge of the canvas. So even if the outline is a little bit here and there, it doesn't matter because we have the base pattern that is going to be the stitch line, which is more important. Okay, here is the base and we need to attach it to the bottom of the bag. Before we do that, I just want to show you that I have sewn in the lining to the main fabric. This is not going to be an inside out turn over kind of stitch, so we need to trim this extra allowance off. Okay, I've trimmed all the allowance off. Now I'm going to turn it over, and now what we need to do is we need to go and match the side seam of the bag to the side seam of the base. So now we need to make a notch mark, just marking the center. Since we have cut off the seam allowance, I'm just going to measure this base, which is coming like 3 1/4 inch. So somewhere in the center, I'm just going to go and make a mark. And the same way, we're going to go and do the other side as well. I've already got a little pencil mark which I marked when I was cutting this canvas, so that is going to be the center base. So now what we need to do is we need to make a little notch marks here so we can match it. So I'm just going to make only on the fabric, not going all the way on the seam. So I'm just going to make little notch marks like so. I have cut off all the notches when we trimmed the allowance, but I have made a mark here. We've got the 2 side seam mark and we have got the mark here, and I have also marked on the other side. Just that's the center point. Now we're going to bring this in like so, match the notch on the base and the center point on the bag, and just place a pin like so. And the same way we're going to go and do exactly the same on this side. Now what we're going to do, just go and ease the fabric in and go and fit the base of the bag all around this canvas. And let me just go ahead and pin, and then I'll come back and show you. I have pinned the base of the bag all around, and the pattern fits perfectly into the base of the bag. So there shouldn't be any problem. In case if this doesn't fit, which means you probably have not sewn the right amount of seam allowance, which means you'll have to adjust a little bit to sew the base. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put a stitch attaching the base of the bag. I'm going to start somewhere in the middle like so, and we're just going to go and sew at the edge of this canvas, not away, but the edge of the canvas. As we come to the curve, just gently slide it through. This is the most difficult part. If this is the first time you're sewing a base, this is the most difficult part. Okay, so it just needs to hold on like so, and as we come to the other corner, we carefully sew the same way we did before. Sew over a little extra at the starting point and finish. We've just sewn in the base, so let's turn the bag around and see how it looks like. So you can see the base is sitting neatly. Now all you need to do is just push the corners, all the edges around the round, because it needs to have a proper kind of U-shaped base at the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that. And once you've done it, what we need to do now is turn it back the wrong side, because we need to now finish the whole bag. So basically we've sewn in the lining and the main fabric, and my fabric is fraying like crazy. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut up a black lining, let's patch it up on top because we don't want to see the canvas, and we're going to edge bind it with the bias binding. Okay, here I have cut another piece of lining, and that's going on top of the base, and that's the stitch we have just sewn. I've pinned it in place. Now what I'm going to do is take a little, just take a needle and a thread and tack it so it stays in place. I don't want to go and sew another thread because it just becomes too heavy and tricky. So as long as this fabric stays in place, it's fine. So let me go ahead and kind of tack, and after that we're going to trim the edges and then go and bind this with a black bias binding. I've just tacked the fabric, the base fabric, onto the base, and let me just go ahead and trim all the extra bits that's hanging around, leaving about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of allowance, because my bias binding is only 1 inch wide, and this whole thing, all the stitching, everything needs to bind properly. So let me just go ahead and trim all around. Okay, the fabric is now trimmed at the edges. So now we're going to take a bias binding, hold it like so. You don't really need to worry about where the stitching is going to be as long as the edges are binded. So we just go and sew a stitch on top of the stitch that we've already sewn, the first stitch. That's the edge of our base, and I'm just going to fold it like so and hold it in. If you find this difficult, go and tack this first and just place it, and somewhere in the center just go and bind it. It doesn't have to be very neat because this is the inside of the bag. When you come to this corner, when you come to this turning U-bend, you have to really pull so that the binding will sit around the U-bend. There's enough layers here to hold the binding properly, so it's fine. So just pull your binding and it will sit around like so. Now I start pulling as I come to the other side of the U-bend. When we come to the starting point, I'm going to cut a little bit extra, like so, and just go ahead and bind about maybe a couple of centimeters. There's the base that we have just sewn and bind it with the edges. Just remove all the extra bits, threads hanging, and let's turn it over. Now your neatly sewn in beautiful handbag cum tote bag is ready with all the zipper details, and if you open the zip you can see neatly sewn in pockets inside out, and you'll be very proud of this project. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the project. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. I shall see you next time. Bye bye for now.